In this JavaScript example, we're going to use JavaScript and cookies together to keep track of how many times a user has been to this website before. From a user interface perspective, it can be handy to know if somebody has been there before, because you can present a different type of interface or show somebody only those things they haven't read or make them stand out. If you're following along in the exercise files, this is Chapter 9, Example 4, script.html. And our fairly bland web page says how many times have you been here before, and has an H2 with an ID of page hits. As always, the heavy lifting is done inside the JavaScript file. And here's the skeleton of our page, so let's create it. Window.onload calls init page, and then the init page function is where we need to start writing. As we've done before, we want to set up expire date to be a new date. And as before, we'll set it up to be 6 months in the future. By looking at get month and adding 6 to it. Now we're going to set up a new variable called hit count. And it's going to be set to parse int cookie val. Cookie val is something we're going to be writing later on. And we're passing cookie val a value of page hit. Whatever hit count comes back with, we want to bump it up by 1. So if it came back as a 0, we want to make it 1. If it came back as 55, we want to make it 56. We don't care. We're just adding 1 to it. And this all happens when the page loads. Then we set document.cookie equal to page hit equals plus our new hit count plus path equals slash expires equals add on expire date dot to GMT string. Remember, expiration dates need to be in GMT format, and that just wrote out a cookie. Now we need to do document.get element by ID, and we want to set the page hits element on the page. We want to set its inner HTML to be you have visited this page hit count times. So the first time you come in, it'll be 0. We bump it up to 1, and it says you visited this page 1 times. If it was 55, it says 56, and it says you visited this page 56 times. Now we need to write the cookie val function. And this is another one of those little handy things that you should have in your toolbox as a JavaScripter, because all it does is take in the name of a cookie, cookie val, cookie name, and it will return back the value of that cookie given the name. Var this cookie equals document.cookie.split. And it doesn't care how many cookies we have. It's going to look through all of them by splitting it with a semicolon space. Now we're going to loop through all the cookies. For var I equals 0, I less than this cookie dot length I plus plus, if cookie name is the same as this cookie sub I dot split. Again, we're going to split on the equals sign so that we split up the individual parts of the individual cookie. And we're going to look at the 0th element, which is the name of the cookie. So we check to see if the cookie name that came into this function is equal to what we just found. If it is, then we return, and let's copy this and then paste it so we don't have to type it all in again. Except now we want field 1. 0 is the cookie name, 1 is the cookie value. And so we returned its value. Now if it's not found at all, in this particular case we happen to know that it's a numeric value, so we just return the value 0, and that says if we haven't been here before, there will be no cookie called page hit. It will not find it in the cookie array, so it will return back a value of 0. At that point, hit count gets bumped up from 0 to 1, and a 1 is stored for the next time. So let's save this file, and then switch over to our browser. And we reload our page, and it says you've visited here 1 time. As we keep hitting reload, you can see that the counter increases. And it's not a very interesting page, so I think we've looked at it sufficient times. But here is our JavaScript again, and these are basic functions, especially this one here, cookie val, that you're going to want to keep around to use in the future because it's just handy to be able to say, hey, I have a cookie, here's the name of it, give me back its value. And just treat this as something you've already got. Next up, how to delete cookies.